Hey, it's Bruce with WeedersDigest.com, and a couple of years ago, probably 3-4 years ago, my friend John Tucci and I with Lake Savers got together and we did a video like this, and we talked about the hopeful and the opportunities that come with whole lake aeration.
Right.
And I just wanted to give you an update since that time. I live on a lake in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and at that point in time, we were going through the process of working with the neighbors, getting everybody on track, and that took a little longer than we thought. Finding a location, getting that approved by the city and the state of Minnesota, the DNR, and a number of things like that. But we got it in. We got it in this last spring. What did we put in? Like April 15th,
one of our
something
first
like that.
installs of the
Yep.
season.
And now here we are at the end of November, and we just turned it off because ours is going to run just during the summer months, or I should say the non-ice months. And so we're turning it off just a couple days before December. And it's premature to provide any results. One of our goals, of course, was to reduce the amount of herbicides that we put into the lake.
Right.
That was a commitment that you had made to our association.
Right.
And well, we survived that because we did not do that
Exactly.
treatment that in the 10 years that I've been on the lake, we've always done a herbicide treatment to make sure that the lake was in good shape for basically July and hopefully into
Right.
August.
Right.
Well, we didn't have to do that.
And that decision was made by the herbicide applicator.
Right. And that's a very, very good point, because if you were the one that said, "Oh, you don't need to do that," or if me,
Right.
because we might have some hidden agendas or motives, but that was actually determined by another party that is responsible, that would have made money off of making that
Exactly.
herbicide treatment. But we put we've got 7 diffusers,
9.
9 diffusers, 7,000 feet of hose.
Yep. I think it was 9,000 feet as well.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
so about 1,000.
And it was a learning experience for myself as well as the neighbors and our association and whatnot. But it's gone from the day it was installed. It's really gone flawless. And
Yeah.
there's been no issues with neighbor or city or DNR or anything like that.
Right.
We talk about how for the couple of years coming up to it, we thought we might have some issues with permitting. That was
Not a
easy.
problem. Yeah.
Maintenance was not an issue.
We had no mishaps, no cut lines, no one
Yeah.
hooking their anchors, and there's nothing at the surface of the lake for people to run into. So
Right.
it really, I'd asked you, but I don't think it disrupted boating or swimming or fishing or anything like that on the lake.
No, as a matter of fact, it's kind of interesting. It becomes interesting to go out there. My kids like to go out and swim in where the bubbles, because there's no electricity out there. There's no moving parts, nothing like that. The one thing that I saw, and was later in the season, I saw a tremendous amount of small, I don't know, I think you could call them fingerlings or maybe small fry, I'm not sure which, of minnows that I have, in the 10 years I've been on our lake, I've never seen that much small fish activity.
Yeah, which is a great sign.
Yeah, and that is, because we've never seen it before, and because we just installed aeration, would you assume that is the reason, or is it?
Well, no, I'm sure you had a lot of that small minnow population in the lake. It's just that when we do the aeration, and we've seen this on system after system, we're creating an environment, a very healthy environment for those minnows to come in and feed around those aeration boils, because there's dissolved oxygen, there's circulation, there's lots of food available that comes from circulating the water throughout the lake. And so they tend to congregate in those areas, and what the good sign is, or what's beneficial about it, is that I'm certain that we're actually growing those minnows faster than if they were spread all around the lake and didn't have those kind of concentrated feeding zones. And what's good about that is that we're now moving nutrients into the fish instead of into weeds and algae.
Yeah.
So
and we covered that in another video that somebody would. I find fascinating, actually, the fact that we are seeing this growth. We believe that we're seeing growth in the population, and then we'll get some benefit out of that. You know, beyond that, we have a lot of goals. I would say John has goals for our lake that are consistent with what our homeowners association is hoping for, and those are things of reduced herbicides, reduced weed, algae growth, reduction of the nutrient or the sediment on the bottom. There's a number of things that we're hoping for,
Right.
And I would encourage you to, you know, this is the end of the year, but hopefully next year we've got a full year under our belt.
With more data, with
Yeah.
the muck data from the winter that's going to be collected, we're
Yeah.
probably going to step up some of the measurements for next year. You know,
Right.
having gotten through the initial install year, and now we can concentrate more on measurement. And I think it's important to say too that this is a science-based approach. So we've
Yeah.
had a number of projects in the Midwest, and particularly in Michigan, that have been extensively studied by third-party firms. And in fact, at the North American Lake Management Society National Conference, where you've got to submit papers for approval and review to their board and all that, one of the scientific studies done on one of our project lakes in Michigan was presented this year, and in front of all of some of the leaders in
Right.
lake management across the country, and was obviously very well received, and it was a very scientifically designed experiment
Yeah.
that did show 2-foot reduction in organic muck
Yeah.
at the bottom over 2 years. And
2 feet of muck reduction in 2 years,
yeah,
using aeration as
And-
bacteria.
and enzymes.
Yeah. So those are the things that
Not measured by me.
Right,
You know,
right.
measured by
and it's premature to
third-party
discuss that
PhD
on our lake, but
candidate
we are
biologists, yeah.
hoping that we get that same result.
Exactly.
And, you know, I think that is one of the things that on our lake we're I mean, I have a business that works this way, weedersdigest.com, but we're a group of homeowners that live on the lake that, you know, we've done our own testing as far as measuring the muck, and I've got some videos out there on that. But even on top of that, our city has taken a great interest in our lake. It's been measured for, not the sediments, but every other thing about our lake has been measured by the city, the DNR,
Right.
the county, the Three Rivers Park District. So, you know, I think that next year, the data that we have, again,
Excellent.
it's
right.
not going to be what you and I say on the next video. It's really going to be somebody else's
Right.
data, and we're optimistic that it's going to be something that we're going to be excited to share.
Yeah.
in
I
our
think
next
the
chapter.
last thing maybe to talk about a bit is what we're trying to achieve from a cost, quite frankly. I mean, what does this stuff kind of cost? And
Yeah.
what our goal is, and there's still more work to do in finding new technologies and new tools, and continue to try to drive the cost down. But what we're really trying to do is make lakes healthier
Yeah. Yeah.
at a cost that the homeowners around the lake can afford.
Right.
They don't have to rely on government grants or money that's got to come from the state, because we all know how hard it is to get any of that kind of
Right.
funding
Right.
these days, especially. And so we have kind of a benchmark, and it works pretty consistently for most lakes that are normally developed in terms of number of properties around it. And we're literally trying and succeeding in making lakes healthier, measured by data, and measured by the eyeballs of the people who are paying for the system, for less than $2 a day per property owner around the lake. So, for 500, even on the high end, for $500 a year, you can be a part of making your lake healthier for today and future generations. And that's a benchmark, even though it's still a lot of money.
Yep.
It's way less than what kind of government-funded projects are spending on other strategies like alum or dredging or extensive wetland creation around a lake or what have you.
Yeah.
This is a way to take control of the future of your own lake. And yes, $500-600 a year may be a lot of money, but quite frankly, if you had a above ground 3-foot deep backyard pool,
Right.
I can virtually guarantee you that you'd be spending more than $600 a year,
Right.
particularly when you factored in the labor if you do it yourself. And opening the pool and closing the pool and putting the chemicals in and filtering the weeds and the leaves that fall in and out and all that. So question is, whether it's our strategies or somebody else's. I mean, if you can find these affordable strategies that can make a measurable difference, is it worth it to you to spend less than a cup of coffee a day to make your lake healthier?
Right.
And certainly the folks on Schmidt Lake have made that commitment, and that's where we're trying to go.
For another video, I don't know if there was probably 10 years ago, there was a study done by Bemidji State University, northern Minnesota, that said for every foot of clarity improvement, there was X amount, I wish I could quote it, but X amount of dollars improvement in the value of
Property
the property.
value. Yep.
And times have changed in 10 years. However, for me, that's an easy decision on, and there's a lot of parameters of what you could spend to do what we've done on our lake. But if we use that number, $500 a year, and we're throwing a loose number. But if I use that number to gain talk about property values, but maybe even more important to me while I live there is knowing that the lake is in better shape, that we've been good caretakers and good stewards of the lake, but that we can enjoy it, and that it's not, that it's not as polluted as most of my neighboring lakes. So.
Right.
But we'll do a video on that, because that would be
great.
I think people would really enjoy that, of seeing the benefit. It'll make them maybe feel better about what they've done in the past, and more importantly, that there are solutions that are more healthy and more cost effective than I think what people believe. So.
Right.
Anyway, we just wanted to take a few minutes just to do kind of at the end of season 1, and just kind of.
I'd like to wrap up too. I'd like to maybe wrap up with a challenge for the folks that are seeing this video that own property on a lake, and many, hopefully, because I think it's a good idea, probably have a professional firm that's helping do some measurement of the lake and management of the lake. And I'll just say it outright. I think the question that you as a property owner ought to be asking your lake manager or lake consultant or lake treatment provider is, can you show me whether our lake is getting healthier every year?
Yeah.
In data, with numbers.
Yeah.
We can. It takes some time. We're not making miraculous changes in one season or that kind of thing, but we have the phosphorus data, the muck data, the algal composition data that is scientific, that shows that we're moving these lakes in the right direction in terms of a permanent as long as the technologies are used, a continued improvement in their health, as well as solving some of the nuisance problems.
Do this. State the challenge. What
challenge your lake management provider. Ask them this question: can you show me if my lake is getting healthier or not healthier by data every year or over the past 5 years?
Yeah.
Show me the data.
Yeah. And if somebody didn't know how to read that data or understand, we'd be happy to help with that. But
absolutely,
what a great challenge to throw that up, because, and our lake, we've seen, even before aeration,
absolutely,
we have seen dramatic changes year to year.
For the better.
And those were all done by our association, and we've seen those improvements.
Yeah. Well,
and we're expecting to make the big jump over these next couple of years.
And what the point is, if you're spending money to manage your lake or quote unquote improve your lake, if it's not getting healthier, where's your money going? It's probably going on more of a band-aid approach or a short-term fix approach versus an approach that's going to make that lake an asset over time. And if it's not getting healthier, it's probably not staying the same. It's probably getting worse. So that's the.
In wrapping up, as you can see, this is not a scripted video, but I'm glad you threw that out there. And I'm proud of the fact that me and my neighbors, we've taken that challenge, because that literally is kind of what has got us onto that next level. And there's been a variety of people, partners, that have got us to that point. So anyway, great suggestion. And check back with us next year for hopefully a follow-up video where we can share that data of our lake and maybe many other lakes. So,
Great.
thanks, John.
Thanks, Bruce.